Hey everyone, I'm Hollander Cooper, and I have beaten Grand Theft Auto 5.
And I'm Henry Gilbert. I have not. I have barely even played it.
So what do you want to know about it? What do the people want to know about this massive game?
Well, okay, massive is a good place to start. They were talking about how this is easily the biggest map they've ever had in their game. Like how big is GTA 5?
It's pretty freaking big. So the map itself is huge. You start off the game in sort of the basic city, and you go around, and there's Vinewood, and there's Vespucci Beach, which is just Venice Beach, and there's different like Beverly Hills kind of area, and you kind of explore the city, and the city itself just feels huge. It feels about the size, I'd say, of GTA 4, like any one of the big areas in GTA 4. And then a quarter of the way through the game, all of a sudden, you could just go north, and there's huge mountains. I mean, the amount of actual like city is probably about what you'd expect from this kind of a game. And then there's also a Red Dead Redemption sized block of just wastes above, where there are still some like small towns, and there's still plenty of stuff to find.
Did it remind you of like how you said Red Dead, but also I remember San Andreas? There just felt like they made a lot of empty space to drive to.
There was some of that, but I think there's just more of it. And there's more stuff there. I feel like in San Andreas there was just a lot of hills. And there's still a lot of those here, but there's more stuff you'll find as you go. And also you can go underwater in this game. So on top of having all of that above ground stuff, which is already so big and full of content, you can just hit the bumper and just go underwater. And if you have you can get a submarine, or you can get scuba gear, and you can just there's hidden stuff underwater. You can just swim, and it's beautifully rendered. It is ridiculous.
Well, so yeah, previous GTA, like in GTA 4, I felt really almost overwhelmed at the start of like I can go anywhere and do anything, and the fake New York was so big. I mean, do you feel like the hugeness is almost a detriment to the game?
At some points, yes. So there are instances where you'll just be sitting there and you'll look at the map, and you'll be driving to a mission, and so as you go around, there'll be story missions, and then there'll be question marks, which are like freaks, I think they're labeled as, which is just random people that will give you missions. So you'll go to somebody that'll be like a paparazzi, and he'll be like, yo, can you drive me to follow that person? I want to take pictures outside of her window if you drive me around. And you'll do that, and that can open up a new quest chain. But there'll also just be little blue circles on the map, which sometimes it's just somebody being robbed, and you can go kill the person that's robbing them and take their money, or you can give it back, and then sometimes those will lead to other like interesting side quests. So those things will you'll be going towards a mission, and all of a sudden you'll see a freaks mission, you'll see somebody steal a car, and you can go save them. Or you'll see that there's like an option to play like darts or something, and these things sort of at some points pile up to a level where you'll kind of feel overwhelmed. You'll feel almost paralyzed with options. But I think eventually, probably 3/4 of the way through the game, you'll understand how all those moving parts work, and you'll become more okay with them. And it's actually like the content eventually all works together. So there's also there's a stock market in the game.
Wow.
So that sounds awesome, right?
Yeah.
The stock market is tied to in-game events also. So if you have a mission to assassinate someone who's in charge of a company, and you find out who the rival company is and invest heavily in that company before you do that assassination mission, you'll make a huge amount of money. Like, all of these crazy moving parts eventually converge. It's like, I've had problems with some other games. Assassin's Creed 3 is one where there's a lot of moving parts that don't really click together. And in this game, they do. And it's really, really cool when you start seeing how everything works together.
But the GTA games, like, they're known for their writing, and also like all the memorable characters that are in it. Like, how would you say GTA 5's like writing and characters?
I'll say something that I'm sure some people are going to end up disagreeing with, but I think that all three of Grand Theft Auto 5's protagonists are probably three of the best main characters in GTA's history. And that's partially because, the game's, I beat it in around 35, 36 hours at like 69%. And in that time, you play as each character for about the same amount of time. There's an in-game clock per character, so I played for like 12 hours per character. When you figure a regular Grand Theft Auto character, they kind of have to write like anybody. You can take CJ, you can take Tommy, you can take Nico. You take them and you're like, all right, well, you're this guy that's down on his luck. You're going to do a job for somebody to make some money. By the end of the game, you've killed thousands of people, done horrible things, and they kind of have to find ways to write your character to make sense of that, and it doesn't always work. Like Nico ended up feeling kind of soulless by the end, and you never really understood why these characters were forced to kill so many people while pretending to be moral. But because each character only has like a 12-hour long story, it ends up, the writing is able to be a lot more focused on those characters. It ends up being really interesting in that. And also the ability to switch between the characters lets you get a better taste of their personal lives. And that element is really, it probably is gameplay-wise one of the coolest things about the game.
Yeah, it adds a lot more character to the main guys. Is there anybody on the level of, say, like Brucey or your cousin from the previous game, who like Roman, who are like entertaining, like funny side characters?
So there are some. There are not nearly as many. GTA 4 had a crazy cast of ridiculous characters. Like I said, you go through the game in GTA 4 and it's like you work for somebody, and then eventually you work for his boss, and then you work for his boss, and you work for his boss, and every other character is the silliest character you've ever met. And this game, you don't really do that thing. Like there's only like a handful of characters you actually do these big missions for, and it's because you don't have to go around, and you don't have to, like, there's not, the escalation isn't as ridiculous.
You don't just have to keep meeting more and more crime bosses.
Yeah, there are fewer characters, but they're not as funny, but they're written better.
Okay. Well, so, it's been 5 years since GTA 4, and there's been a lot of open world games in between. How does GTA 5 stack up to all the competition?
I'd say it stacks up well. It doesn't, I'll say that the game is not going to, with the open world, GTA 4 was surprising and impressive. This is more impressive and less surprising. There aren't as many crazy tricks they play with the open world. The only thing that I'll say really takes full advantage of the open world that other games don't do is the character switching, because you can actually do it almost whenever. You can just hit a button and then the camera zooms up and then zooms over to the other character and zooms in, and they'll just have been living their life. Like, you'll find Trevor just like passed out in an alley, or you'll find Franklin just like walking, he'll just be walking and talking to his friend, and then the friend will be like, all right, see ya, and then they'll go their separate ways. So they do that really well. They also take advantage of it in ways that I haven't seen other games do it with the heists. So the heists are probably the biggest point of Grand Theft Auto 5. There's these instances where you'll get a job and you'll have to plan out and execute a heist, and it really takes advantage of the idea of an open world, because it'll be like, all right, you need to go get a getaway car, and you'll actually go, you find whatever car you want, you can upgrade all the weapons and vehicles, so you'll upgrade the car, park it in a specific spot, and then when the mission actually happens, you need to go to that specific getaway car. Like, these missions work really well, and it also, like, switching between characters even comes into play during missions, because when you're out of a mission and you switch out, it zooms out and comes back in, but if you're in the middle of a mission, you can switch between them instantly. So there's just, really, because of that, it makes for really, really, really good gameplay moments, like big set piece instances.
Well, and the standard gameplay of, like, is the shooting, the driving, all that, is it markedly improved? The
driving's still it's still not, like, super accurate. I mean, I think that's intentionally so. They want you to be kind of sliding around the roads. The shooting is actually much improved. The shooting is fantastic. You can, if you pull in the iron sights thing or you pull in the zoom, it just zooms in on somebody, locks directly on them, and if you tap the right stick, it switches targets. It's pretty much how previous games did it, but it's just been honed really, really well. Okay. And each character has their own special ability. So if you're playing as Michael and you click both of the sticks, he goes into super slow mode with shooting. So you can just take out a bunch of guys in slow-mo, and Trevor can just absorb a ridiculous amount of damage, and Franklin can go into slow motion while driving, but it's not slow motion like you'd expect. He has, like, precision control while driving. So if you're driving and there's, like, just enough room between two cars and you're about to hit one and you click the sticks, you can almost, like, stop on a dime and zoom around them, which makes car chases really cool, because if you're being chased by cops, you can easily outmaneuver them, where before you just had to sort of rely on speed or throwing grenades at them.
And also, so there's no GTA Online at launch, right? So no online multiplayer.
Yeah, I was really let down by that. So they promoted GTA Online, but it's not ready yet. It's going to be within like a few weeks, and it's not just it wasn't ready for the review. It's not going to ship with the game.
Right.
So it is kind of a bummer because it looks like a huge element of the game, and it's just not available.
Well, it
yet.
almost seems like it's a separate, like, kind of free-to-play-ish game, or just a separate online multiplayer game that comes with.
Yeah, and there's like, but the thing is, the GTA 5's achievement, it has a ton of GTA Online achievements.
Oh.
So obviously it's an integral part of the game. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work. They've shown like one trailer, and it's not out yet, and it wasn't on the disc as far as I can tell, which is disappointing.
Is it a multi-disc game?
It is 2 discs, but
on the 360.
On the 360, but one disc is just install, and then the other disc lets you just play it. But I will note that another sort of negative about it is it does feel like it's pushing the current generation to its limits. I didn't have any problems early game, but eventually the signature Grand Theft Auto pop-in started happening where I'll be driving and buildings will just be spawning into existence maybe only a few hundred feet away from me, or there's an instance where I was driving and a fence appeared behind me and in front of me, like I had driven into an area that it would have been difficult to drive out of. So you start getting a lot more pop-in the further you get in the game. I don't know if my system was overheating or if as I got further in the game it was rendering more of the map. But there are some technical problems. I actually ran into a surprisingly few number of glitches because GTA 4 had a bunch. But it is an extremely polished game, save for the pop-in.
Cool.
Yeah, and I really like it. I'm surprised by how impressed I was. Like I said, you're not really going to be surprised by the game itself. There aren't many like, oh, wow, they've completely overhauled the way blank works. But they did a really, really good job at creating one of the most interesting worlds, some of the best characters, some of the best writing the series has ever seen, and some of the best gameplay. The only reason I would see people being let down is sort of it is still not as silly as old GTA. So if you're one of those people who thinks that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was sort of the pinnacle and that every game should include jetpacks and aliens and everything else, then you might be let down by this. But it is definitely I'd say it's easily in one of my favorite Grand Theft Auto games and one of my favorite games of the generation.
Wow, big talk.
It's a big game, and hopefully GTA Online makes it even bigger. But we really can't speak to that yet.
Yeah.
I ended up going with a 5 out of 5. It is a huge game. There is so much to do. It may not have that one single element that you typically expect from a game to get a 5 out of 5, like the one crazy plot twist that blew your mind, but it is such a huge, cohesive, impressive world that everyone needs to play it. All right, so yeah, that's it. That's Grand Theft Auto 5, probably the biggest game of the year, hopefully, maybe.
Could be.
Who knows? But you can check out the full text review and plenty of other Grand Theft Auto 5 coverage, guides, videos, etc. on GamesRadar.com.
See ya.